Now is Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz. He's a member of the House Judiciary Committee. Sir, thanks for joining us. You know, the Democrats' argument on this is always that there was so much evidence out there against Carter Page, or at least that warranted the idea of trying to see what he was doing. You know, the meetings that he took with various people from Russia, he himself saying that he was an advisor to the Kremlin, that there was tons of evidence. So how could there be FISA abuse? How do you respond?
Well, in 2015, there was a federal court filing where Russian officials were calling Carter Page an idiot who they deemed to have no value. So it's important to note that while at some point in time there may have been a legitimate basis to look into Mr. Page, that well expired before this FISA application was submitted to the court. Moreover, if the evidence on Carter Page was enough, why was the leading piece of evidence in this FISA application the dossier that was paid for by the DNC that had information from Russians, and that was largely a political document valeted into the intelligence community because Fusion GPS hired Bruce Orr's wife with money from the Democratic Party? And so I think that there's so much evidence that indicates that throughout this process, there were people at the senior levels of the Department of Justice and FBI who steered Hillary Clinton away from trouble and then manifested their bias to work against President Trump both before and after his election. One
of your colleagues, Trey Gowdy, had even more reasons. Listen to this.
What changed for me was the knowledge that there are 24 witnesses that Michael Horowitz, the Inspector General, would not have access to. So your options are DOJ investigated themselves. They can't do that because of conflict of interest. Let the Inspector General do it. Now, I'm a big fan of Mike Horowitz, but he has no jurisdiction over witnesses that have either left the department or never worked there. So when I counted up 24 witnesses that he would not be able to access were he to investigate it, yeah, only one conclusion, that's special counsel.
What do you think of that?
That's very significant, Melissa. 8 months ago, when 20 members of Congress called for a special counsel to look into these matters, Trey Gowdy was not among us. And the fact that now he's come on board signifies a growing chorus of members of Congress who understand the practical impossibility of having the Department of Justice and the FBI investigate themselves. Melissa, my constituents ask me, why is no one in jail yet? Why hasn't there been a grand jury impaneled or charges brought? And the answer is that while Congress can uncover the facts, and while the Inspector General can give us illuminating details, we can't go slap handcuffs on anybody. We don't have that power. Only the Attorney General can appoint a second special counsel.
You know, for the people who think that something went wrong here, they sort of are sorted into two camps. There's those who think that there were bad actors in the FBI that need to be rooted out, or the Department of Justice that need to be rooted out and fired. And then there are others who think that there's just a fundamental problem with the idea of a secret court that seems to be accountable to no one. Which side do you come down on?
Well, I think you can actually agree with both of those statements. It's one of the reasons why I've looked for bipartisan reforms to that very court. And it was Adam Schiff, the Democrat ranking member of the Intelligence Committee, who in 2013 filed FISA court reform legislation to give then President Obama more powers to appoint FISA court judges. I have reintroduced Mr. Schiff's legislation, but he refuses to co-sponsor his own bill because he doesn't want to give President Trump the same powers that he wanted to give President Obama. So I do think you're right. We need to work together as Republicans and Democrats because both Republicans and Democrats will be in power in the future, and we don't want to see a politicization of our intelligence community or a secret court that can deprive Americans of their liberties.
Congressman Matt Gaetz, thanks for your time.
Thank you.